Investigate a threat in the Lamar, Missouri Casey's parking lot.
Preparing for a final farewell to Britain's Prince Philip. I'm Ian Lee with a look ahead to Saturday's funeral.
And 3 companies compete for a chance to help NASA astronauts return to the moon.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A bomb squad arrives from Springfield to investigate a threat outside the Casey's convenience store in Lamar. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes. After a 4-hour evacuation, bomb experts determined there is no threat. Lamar police cleared residents from the area early this morning. And according to Lamar Police Chief Joe Moore, police do have a suspect in custody. He says the male suspect was inside the gas station around 7:30 this morning, making several suspicious statements, including one that he had a bomb in his car and that someone else had put it there. Chief Moore called in the Springfield DOD after looking at the car in question.
So we see there's wiring that goes from inside the vehicle up on the roof of the vehicle down into the engine compartment, and then wiring up and around the steering column in some areas that just wouldn't normally be there. It's suspicious from the outside of the vehicle.
Again, the Springfield bomb squad has cleared the scene and has determined there is no bomb inside the car. Now, in addition to the Springfield unit and the Lamar PD, the Missouri Highway Patrol and the Barton County Sheriff's Department also responded. Well, there's been another American tragedy after a gunman shot 8 people dead and injured several others at a FedEx facility in Indianapolis before taking his own life. 4 people were transported to hospitals, one of them in critical condition with gunshot injuries. Investigators are still working to find out why the shooting happened. Well, our beautiful week has come to an end. Michael Hayslip joins us with a first look at the forecast.
That rain is far from over, Tanya, as we take a look at the Skywatch storm tracker. Now, while it has not been as heavy as what it was earlier this morning, we are still picking up pockets of it. Look at that, right at Lamar, coming into I-49 along Highway 54, which has been dominated all morning by heavy rainfall in between Fort Scott and Nevada as everything moves from the west into the 4-state area, and that's why we are a far cry from over. We'll go ahead and remove our cloud cover, get a better idea of just the rain that's still remaining in portions of central Kansas, and all that stuff coming out of Wichita. Yep, it's going to last us for the duration of the afternoon and evening hours. Our temperatures right now ranging anywhere from the high 40s to low 50s, and don't expect any type of a warm up. That's exactly where we'll be for the rest of the day. Put Future Track into motion and you'll notice it's going to last into the evening hours, and as a matter of fact all the way until after we turn the clock into Saturday. Now, the nice thing is we've been able to avoid watches, warnings, advisories, anything of the like. Right now, as we stand at Joplin Regional Airport, we're sitting at about just 1/4 inch of accumulation. And we'll dive into those numbers here in just a little bit later, because up to our north, we're easily sitting at about 1.25 inches. So the northern counties have been dominated. But yet, when we talk about the Osage, the Little Osage, the Marmonton rivers, not swelling up to the banks as of yet. Cool weekend ahead. We'll dive into Saturday and Sunday here in just a little bit, as our temperatures are going to be cool, and a little bit of a rebound there on Monday.
All right.
That's followed up by another cold front and thunderstorms for the middle of next week.
Yeah, we had our good weather last week, and
we did.
It's gone now. Now the rain's here. All right, thanks, Michael. Final preparations are underway in Britain for the funeral of Queen Elizabeth's husband, Prince Philip. He'll be laid to rest at Windsor Castle tomorrow. CBS's Ian Lee reports from London.
Every moment is planned to the last detail. From the military parade honoring Prince Philip's service in the Royal Navy to the modified Land Rover he helped design that will carry his coffin. But COVID restrictions have turned what would have been a grand ceremonial service into an intimate one. Only 30 guests, mostly close relatives, will attend the funeral at St. George's Chapel in Windsor.
He's getting the funeral he really wanted. Smaller, intimate, no fuss, just like Prince Philip.
What he wouldn't have wanted is a family feud. The Queen has already stepped in to settle a squabble over the dress code, ordering all royals to wear suits instead of military uniforms. Prince Harry risked being the odd one out after being stripped of his military titles when he gave up his royal duties. But it's the tension between Prince Harry and his brother Prince William making headlines here ahead of the funeral. They'll meet face to face for the first time since the explosive interview with Oprah. Prince Harry told her he felt trapped in his royal role.
Trapped within the system, like the rest of my family are. My father and my brother, they are trapped.
The palace revealed the brothers won't walk side by side in the funeral procession, but royal watchers expect they will pull together for the family.
I have no doubt that William and Harry will put on a united front for their grandfather.
A man who served his queen and country for almost 80 years. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Mourners at tomorrow's funeral will have to wear masks and observe social distancing inside the chapel. Queen Elizabeth, who has spent much of the past year isolating with her husband at Windsor Castle, will sit alone. And CBS News is scheduled to air a special report covering the royal funeral beginning at 8:30 tomorrow morning. You can watch that right here on KOAM. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, 3 companies, each with their own moon landing service. We look into the decision NASA has to make before it can return to the moon. And later, we're making a fruit medley cream pie in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. For the first time since the Apollo program, NASA is shopping for a new lander to go back to the moon. The space agency is expected to choose this month from among 3 designs for its Artemis program. Mark Strassman shows us the company is competing for their chance to make history.
After years of development,
go for engine start,
and countless tests of its rocket and crew capsule, NASA almost has all the hardware it needs to send astronauts back to the moon.
The human landing system is the missing link. It's the last step to complete the puzzle for our return to the moon.
once you have this,
it's all systems go.
Lisa Watson-Morgan leads NASA's first Lunar Lander program since Apollo.
When I see this, it gives me goosebumps.
The Apollo lunar module, built by Grumman, was actually 2 spacecraft in 1. The bottom half, the descent stage, lowered the vehicle and its crew to a soft landing.
Engine stop. Okay, Houston, the Challenger has landed.
And when it was time to go home,
Ignition. Right away, Houston.
the ascent stage ferried the crew back to their orbiting capsule.
We're definitely building off Apollo. We're saying, okay, we see what they did. Okay, we live in a different era. What makes sense for us today? What makes sense for NASA? And what will help us to have more of a sustained presence?
Unlike Apollo, NASA won't own the Artemis landing system. Instead, it will buy a landing service, picking from 3 dramatically different proposals.
It's time to go back to the moon, this time to stay.
Blue Origin, founded by Jeff Bezos, is leading a team of aerospace companies that came up with this design.
The goal is to learn how to operate there permanently.
Blue Origin's Brent Sherwood told us that's why its propulsion system is based on water, because ice at the moon's south pole could someday be converted into rocket fuel.
Both hydrogen and oxygen are available on the moon in the form of ice in the polar regions. And our vision is based on developing those lunar resources in the future to make these systems reusable instead of bringing everything from Earth.
Ignition.
Elon Musk's SpaceX proposes a lander based on its Starship design. The company's now testing it in South Texas.
We've had a successful soft touchdown on the landing pad.
Outside, an elevator-like system would lower astronauts to the surface. And then there's this approach by Dynetics, based in Huntsville, Alabama. Its horizontal, low-slung layout has the crew hatch just 8 feet above the ground.
It's one of the most notable aspects of our design. We like to say that when Neil Armstrong came off that ladder and said,
It's one small step for man,
one giant leap, he didn't actually want it to literally be a one giant leap.
Dynetics executive Jonathan Pettis gave us a tour inside his company's mock-up.
and what else about this would Neil and Buzz not recognize?
Well, first of all, they wouldn't recognize this much space. It's double the size of what they had.
If you win, what would it mean to the company?
Sure, it's great from a business perspective, but ultimately that ability to have a role in this sort of treasure of the nation, the space program, you know, you can't put a price tag on it.
It's got to be one of the most proud moments of my life, I guarantee you.
The Apollo lander successfully delivered 12 Americans to the moon. Now NASA has to choose which design will land America's next moonwalkers.
How do you balance sticking with a formula you know works as opposed to being open to new ways of doing things?
Well, because if you've always done what you did, you're always going to get what you got. I mean, you know, we have to try new things. We definitely, I mean, it would be un-American to not try something new, right?
Mark Strassman, CBS News.
Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Will Kelly's desire to smash today's cream pie in my face become a reality? The only way to find out is to stick around.
And be sure to stick around. Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Well, we kind of got a little mid-morning break from our thunderstorm activity. Look at this, the rain splattering down on our tower cam outside of Television City, and we still have a long way to go before this thing is over. Now, luckily, I do want to point out we have no watches, warnings, advisories, nothing of the like with our rain. Just good old-fashioned April showers is what it's amounted to. 51 degrees is where we stand outside the mothership right now with widespread rain activity. Let's take a look at some of our key points right now as we're starting to pick up right along the Kansas-Oklahoma state line down in Labette County. We got a good one right here on I-49 just north of Lamar, everything pushing off to the east. This area of the four states up to the north in between Fort Scott and particularly Nevada, it has been bombarded all morning long. Put the storm tracks into gear, show you how it's making a little northeasterly push. We're going to have to wait though, because everything coming out of Wichita still going to head our way. That's why it's going to last all the way through the nighttime hours. And when we take a look at how much we've picked up already, especially where it starts out here, we're already up to about 1.5 inches of rain. Portions right around in between Nevada and Fort Scott on Highway 54, sitting about 1.25 inches, and Joplin Regional Airport just south. Joplin Regional Airport about 1/4 inch, but if you just go just south of I-44, already up to 0.9 of an inch. And that's not going to cause any flood advisories or concerns or anything like that, but just an idea that how much rain we've picked up. Really going back to late last night is when it started. Nice thing is we've been able to keep lightning, thunder, heavy rain all the way down to the south right there. It's pretty expansive though as it lasts really from the Arklatex region, rolls up through us, even turns into some snow there by the time it gets into western Nebraska. Our temperature is pretty much stalled out for the day. We're going to be sitting high 40s, low 50s, and with the cloud cover and the impending low pressure system really not going to go anywhere. Severe thunderstorm risk map, we do have movement on it, and we have it in a positive way. Earlier this morning, we weren't yet in the minimal level. The minimal level has remained down here, but even that's going to indicate thunderstorm activity. A little lightning, a little thunder, and it was taking a big northerly push and then kind of dropping back down to the south. But now we look at it for the rest of the day. Now we're going to be good. Just going to be some rain. I know it's canceled a lot of Friday activities, and I apologize for that. Man, as you push into Saturday, if you got plans, it's just going to be muddy outside for the most part. We should be done with it, though, by the time we get into mid-Saturday morning. Anything that we do see on Saturday is going to be very light and scattered. It's just a matter of the rain that we've already accumulated. And also, too, it's going to be chilly on Saturday and Sunday. Not much of a bump up. We should be sitting at about 70 degrees this time of year. Not going to get close to it. By the time we get to Monday, yeah, that'll actually feel warm when we push up to 66, but then we're going to drop right back down to the 50s. For the middle of next week.
Ooh.
Could be worse though. We avoided any of those severe thunderstorm warnings this morning. And like I said, for the rest of the day, it's April showers. And we know what April showers bring.
Mayflowers.
Yeah, check it off the list.
There we go. I like it. Hey, I'm looking forward to my Mayflowers this year, for sure. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Specialist Daniel Cross in the U.S. Air Force. The Joplin, Missouri native joined the 23rd AGS Tactical Unit in 1990. He served a tour in Saudi Arabia and earned the National Defense Service Medal, the Outstanding Unit Award, and the Good Conduct Medal. To Specialist Daniel Cross, Jr., we thank you, our four-state hero. When there's plenty of fresh fruit around, Why not bake a pie? Howard shows us how to make his fruit medley cream pie in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
When it comes to dessert, are you more of a cake or pie lover? Personally, I tend to lean more towards cakes. However, as the weather warms up and all the fresh fruit comes into season, my taste buds start craving pie. Anything from lattice-topped fruit pies to light and creamy ones, like the one we're making today, and talk about easy. We start by baking a graham cracker pie crust in a deep dish pie plate. While that cools for a few minutes, we mix together a package of banana cream pie filling with a little milk. After this thickens up, we pour this into our cooled pie crust. On top of that goes some whipped topping, and we cover it with all sorts of fresh fruit, everything from bananas to berries. After you sprinkle the top with some graham cracker crumbs and let it chill, it's ready to serve. With each bite, you get the creaminess of the filling, the crunch of the crust, and the freshness of the fruit. To get the recipe for what we call our fruit medley cream pie, all you have to do is visit our website.
You know, I've always wanted to smash a pie at someone's face.
Well, you're not doing it with this one or this one, cuz, ooh, it's so good. I'll try a little.
Oh.
Wouldn't want to waste that pie either. It looks too good. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
The rain gonna last all the way through the night. Not looking at thunderstorm activity, but just April showers, more of an annoyance than anything else. But I tell you what, give it until Saturday mid-morning. We'll finally be done with it. Chilly over the weekend, and then we finally get a little bit of a warm-up on Monday before more T-storms roll in next week.
Well, coming up tonight at 5, the pandemic created new uses for robots, from disinfecting public areas to delivering food in a restaurant. But there's a new focus on making them more lifelike. We're going to show you. Plus, a bill moves to the Missouri Senate this week that would give domestic abuse victims lifetime protection against abusers. Now, one local nonprofit stresses this bill's importance. And plans for a new gated community move forward in Pittsburgh, but there's questions surrounding who's going to maintain the streets. Join us for those stories and much more tonight on the KOAM News at 5.
I want to thank you all for joining us here on the KOAM News at noon. Tanya and I will see you again Monday morning.
And the rest of the team will see you right here at 5 o'clock.
If you see news happening